Hey guys, it's Justin, and today I'm going to be bringing you a video on the DevOps Center as a holistic guideline on how to use it. This is a new tool that Salesforce released recently, which goes and is a direct replacement to change sets. I'm going to tell you right now, if the only thing that you take away from this video is that you should be using this. It is 10 to 20 times better than the original change set architecture, and I highly recommend moving over to this. I have already begun the process of moving my clients over to the DevOps Center because it's just far and away better and is a remedial investment to go and set up and pays for itself in 1 to 2 changes. With that, I am going to go over a quick demo, but before I get into the demo, why is it better? A couple of reasons. One, we are using the SFDX architecture and GitHub to go and manage all of your changes, which is amazing, right? So gone are the days of tracking changes in a spreadsheet, gone are the days of using some sort of rogue Python script to go and manage changes between your Salesforce org. We just have one tool that's built by Salesforce that can go and manage your changes. Brilliant. I love it. And again, gone are the days of going and creating massive change sets where you're scratching your head as to why certain components are in or going and pushing too much. It's all done, all gone, which is great. I love it. With that, let's just jump into a quick demo of how this works, which is different from the change set archetype. What I'm going to do is give a brief overview of the DevOps Center. So we use projects instead of, we use projects as configurations for the pipeline. And so think of a project as some sort of company's org that's tied to a repository. So if you're doing full org development, you're probably only going to have one project. If you're doing multiple org developments, or if as a company decision, you're managing projects within separate code repos, then maybe you'll have many more projects. Nevertheless, you can see that there are quite a few things that you can configure. So you can see that there's multiple environments that I have connected to this project, as well as you can configure the pipeline. So I have here a approved work items, which is standard for all projects. We have a dev environment, a staging environment, and a production environment. With the environments, I have them configured to specific branches within Git, and all of this is connected to a GitHub repo, which is great. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a work item to just show how to go and commit work. So what I have is I have a source org or a scratch org, which I can do development from. So I'm going to connect to that. You can see from here, I have an Apex class that I wrote and an admin profile that got updated. I'm just going to go ahead and commit this class. So we'll go and commit the changes. What this does in the back end is we are creating a pull request inside of GitHub, which I'll show shortly. And you can see that this work item will change from in progress to in review. So what I can do from here is I can go and view change request, which opens the GitHub URL in a new window. You can see the commit, which I had made to the to the work item, as well as you can see the files changed. Of course, there's just a sample class as well as some metadata, but you can imagine on bigger, more involved projects how this would be quite helpful. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say that this is ready to promote, and we can go straight to the pipeline. Although you will notice that once you move this to ready to promote, you can't make changes, and so you either need to promote it or change the status to never. What we can do from here is we can approve the work items. We'll be granted promotion options, which is run tests, don't run tests, what metadata to push. I'm just going to go with the default options as there's nothing crazy to go through here, but you'll see this get moved into the dev environment. The dev environment could be used as some sort of testing environment where you begin to have not scratch orgs, but go and manage code through this. And you'd have some sort of layer of testing that you could go through where you have data, but you're not developing in that. The next thing, of course, is we'll just run this through the whole pipeline. For an initial setup, you kind of need to log in a bunch of times. It is what it is, but nevertheless, it's quite simple to go and promote things. So again, we get the same options, and we can go from there. The next thing is you do have to have a bundling stage, and so you can go and push bundled items from some sort of staging environment into production. You can think of this as some sort of version control or versioning within Salesforce that you go and use to track changes, group changes, test, and push. So what I'll do is promote this, and we have to have a version name, and we're given the original options. So I'm just going to call this initial commit. And from here, the changes are pushed into a production org. Brilliant. All quite seamless. Again, if I think about how this changes from the previous model, which was change sets, you would have had to go and use a change set for the approved work items to the dev environment. You would have had to then recreate the change set from dev to staging. You would have then had to recreate the change set for all items from staging to production. So this is quite seamless. Brilliant way to manage code from here on out. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to go ahead and show you how to configure this. So there's an article here, link above. But what do we need to go and do DevOps Center? Of course, there's some prerequisites. Number one, you need some sort of production org that you have admin access to. Quite self-explanatory, but nevertheless. Number two, you will need a GitHub account. As of the time of recording, only GitHub is the allowed Git source control provider. So maybe in the future, Bitbucket and or GitLab will be added, but for now, that's the case. Number three, you do need orgs with sandboxes. And so we'll go through some configuration, but we'll need to refresh a bunch of environments to get them up to snuff. So do note that before going and configuring this, you need to refresh sandboxes. So don't nuke your developers' work. So what we'll do is there is a few things within setup. So if I go to setup, what you'll see is two things that you'll need to configure. One, you'll need to enable the DevOps Center. So if you just type DevOps, you'll see this DevOps Center. You'll click a setting to press enable, and then you'll go ahead and install a package. This package is pretty easy to install. I already have it installed, but you would just upgrade. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go to DevHub, and you're going to enable source tracking in sandboxes. So there's this setting here, enable source tracking in developer and developer pro sandboxes. You will want to have that enabled. Again, link to an article above. I don't have this enabled because I have a bunch of trailheads to go and set up this org. The next thing you would do is you would go and you'd go to your sandboxes and refresh them. Of course, because I'm in Trailhead, I don't have access to sandboxes, but you would refresh whatever your partial sandbox is, full sandbox, any developer sandboxes to get a clean slate. From here, you would go and create a connected app. So I'm going to go to App Manager. And we're going to do, we would do a new connected app. You can see the instructions here for the connected app, link above. But this is quite self-explanatory. We're going to have the name as DevOps Center, API name self-explanatory. Salesforce is the contact email. The logo image is here. Of course, you can have a description, but if I can copy it correctly. And most importantly, you have a start URL, which is going to be this /DevOps I already have this app, but you can see it here. If I go to the DevOps Center, what we're going to do is the next thing you would do is manage. You go to manage, you would manage the permission sets, and you would add the initialized environments and the named credentials to this connected app. Finally, what you're going to do is for all users that you want to go and manage this or use the setting, you would go and assign permissions. So for instance, this is my user. I would go and edit the assignments, and I would add these 3 DevOps Center permission sets, and then the initialize environments and named credentials. You can read more about these various permissions sets if you need more granular control over who's a manager, who's releasing, and who's setting things up. But with that, DevOps Center is now set up. Brilliant. What you'll have to do to manage this is you'll have to go to the DevOps Center from the App Manager. Please note that if you go to, for instance, the Sales app, and you see this from the recently used app screen, I don't have it on this homepage, but if you see it on this app page, it won't work, so you do need to go through the App Manager. But if I go to DevOps Center, we can go and see this section. From here, we're going to create a new project. So I'm going to go ahead and create it as DevOps-YouTube. You can either use an existing repo or you can create a new repo. I'm going to create a new repo for this. And note that for the repo owner, it defaults as your username. So this is J.A. Wills is my username for GitHub. But if you want this under an organization, then you just type in that organization, assuming you have ownership access to that. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. That GitHub repo is created. Some sort of crude project, blank project structure is created. From here, we need to add a release environment. So I'll go ahead and add a production org. Let's see here. I don't think the steps necessarily matter, but you can see this here. From here, we can now click on this. You can see that there's some initial steps that are and stages that you can use. For most of my projects, I have just been using staging and production, but these are quite small for my environments. My projects are quite small in terms of team size. From here, what we can do is add another environment. Please note that if you want your developer environments that show up under here, you will need to have not only Sandbox, Sandbox/Scratch.org, but you also need this click, this used for development, must have source tracking enabled. From here, I think this will work. I'll go and connect my Scratch org. And we can finish the pipeline configuration. So you can see the Scratch org is a development environment, and we can activate the pipeline. Of course, I can't have two release environments, so let me go and add a staging environment, which will be this one, I suppose. So from here, now we can activate this. So I will go and do so. Great, we have our pipeline set up. And we are right at the beginning of the demo where we can create a work item again. Brilliant. Let's go ahead and create this just to show that, of course. And we can either track work through the Scratch org, or we can go and just go through the Git repository. I'll go ahead and show this. And we're back here again. Brilliant. One other thing, since I have this set up in VS Code, that I'd like to show is for tracking changes. This does use, there's a specific SQL query that they use to manage this. I don't want to get into the technicals here, but note that you'll have to pull changes. So again, what you can see here is 0 files available to pull, 1 file pulled. If I pull changes, then there's nothing that happens. If I go ahead and just do a if I just add a method here, not inside the constructor, I can push the source to the default scratch org. And now if I go back to YouTube, or sorry, not to YouTube, but to the DevOps Center, I can pull changes, and you can see that example class has been added as a change. So just some closing thoughts on this topic. There's a couple things. One, this is a great tool. Definitely recommend people to use it. That being said, there are some kind of pitfalls of this tool that I don't think stop you from using it, but I'd love to see either the community improve on. Maybe I'll be working on some of them, or just Salesforce improve them. So number one, you can only use GitHub. I don't have an axe to grind with GitHub, but certainly there's many people in the world who do. Number two, there's no Jira integration. I'd love for all of this to just seamlessly integrate with Jira. So if that would be something you're interested, let me know in the comments below. Three, I would just say is, from using this, there's a lot of just like errors that pop up, and it's not confusing, but it's a little bit annoying. And so I'd love some of these like minor bugs to get fixed. Again, this is a beta, so I'm not frustrated with that, but it'd be nice to not have those bugs fixed, or these bugs appear. And I think that number four would just be that you do need to have access to the production environment. So it would be nice to have some sort of standalone tool where people are managing this. But nevertheless, it is what it is. And I say that not because I necessarily want my developers to go and push code to prod on their own, but it would be nice for them to see this within some sort of greater ecosystem that's actually the changes, not some redrawing of the changes in, say, Jira, or say, screenshots of this. So nevertheless, with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know this was long. Please leave a like and subscribe if you found this content helpful. Additionally, if you need consulting specifically with the Salesforce field, please look at the links below, and I would be happy to jump on a call and see how I can help you. Thanks, and have a good day.